Good morning and welcome to GrainTV. My name is Cody Bills. This is Logan Burgess. Today is February 9th, a USDA WASDE report day. Typically, in the February report, we see domestic numbers maintained while the focus actually shifts more internationally. I know that USDA is focusing on Argentina and Brazil. Crop production down there has been suffering, and we knew that they'd lower it, but just by how much? That was the question. Logan, what actually happened today, and is that a surprise to the market?
Yeah, Cody. We'll take a look at the figures we saw come out this morning. You know, to answer your question, they're not really a big surprise to the market. We saw Informa and Oil World come out with figures very close to these here recently. Early in February, we saw those figures. Take a look here, kind of the big number that the trade's been watching specifically with regards to corn. Argentinian corn production was lowered to 22 million metric tons. But that, like I said, that was kind of on par with what the trade was expecting here. How this relates to exports out of South America, take a look here. You can see here in the first column is the January report. The second column here is February. You can see that out of Argentina, they lowered the expected corn exports by about 4.5 million metric tons. But again, that's kind of what the trade was expecting. Not a big news there, just confirmation really that this crop has suffered from the dryness and the heat that we saw down there. Interesting to note though was that expected corn exports out of Brazil were actually raised by 500,000 metric ton, largely due to bigger beginning stocks in the February report than we saw in January. How did this relate to U.S. ending stocks here? Take a look. Kind of a neutral report we saw come out today, really overall what the trade was expecting. 801 million bushels of corn here for U.S. ending stocks. That was lowered from the January report, but it wasn't lowered to the extent that a lot of the trade was looking for. 791 million bushels was kind of the number that the trade was watching. Beans, really kind of a non-story here, unchanged on the ending stocks front, right around where the trade was expecting. And wheat, the ending stocks were actually lowered quite a bit. Actually, it came in lower than what the trade was expecting at 845 million bushels. So, it'll be really interesting to see how this plays out in Chicago today. We're going to take a quick commercial break, but we'll be right back to watch the market trade live on the Fire Tip platform.
I'll have to be honest with you. First thing I'm going to mention right up front is it's free. I like the service when it's free because you can tie up a lot of money in different services, and from experience I found out that sometimes you can pay a lot of money and you may not be getting that much out of it.
And welcome back to GrainTV. Cody, let's take a look at the Fire Tip platform, see how the trade in Chicago is responding. If you're a producer out there, you like watching live quotes, you like executing your own trades, give us a call today. We'll set you up with a demo. We can see corn here trading up 7 1/4 off the open. Soybeans really leading the charge to the upside, up 13 right now. Chicago wheat kind of unchanged there, and Kansas City wheat actually backing off a little bit, down 3.5 right now. Cody, these are kind of nice gains. We see the grains picking up in general here on the open. It will be important to watch the close. Where do you see this trade headed here today?
Yeah, I think this is a nice reaction, I suppose, to a relatively neutral report.
Yeah.
However, I'm a little skeptical that these gains are going to hold. If you look at the soybean chart, we have a resistance level right around this 1244 area. Right now, we're kind of bumping our head on it.
Yeah.
If we can close above it around the 1250, if we can actually have a strong close today, I think there's a good chance that we could then move back up to this around 1280. We'd be taking like another leg higher. We got past that 100-day moving average, etc. So I think, though, it's going to be tough for us to close above that. I think that there's a good chance we start to come off here, drift a little bit lower toward the end of the day.
Certainly, Cody. Well, it'll be important to watch these technical levels. But, on the fundamental side, we did see a big piece of news come out. It is Thursday. It's the export sales report day. Take us through what we saw there.
That sounds good. Export sales were relatively strong for wheat and beans. Let's take a look at the numbers. For corn, we came out at 694,000 metric tons versus an estimated 800. 800 was actually on the low side, so for corn, it was a relative disappointment this week. Beans came in at 603,000 metric tons versus an expected 550,000. That was beating expectations, and wheat actually came in with a marketing year high here at 708,000 metric tons versus 450,000. So that was all very positive. Let's take a look at the progress for corn. We're on week 22. We're now ahead of pace, 20 million bushels. Now, the USDA did come out and raise their export expectations. So what happened in our model here is we actually have to raise the number, which means that our ahead of pace, we were ahead of pace, 44 million bushels compared to January's estimates. Right. Now we're only 20 million bushels ahead of pace, and we had soft sales this week. Take a look here's where we expected to see it, this is where we got it, so there is a little bit of a gap there.
Right.
It's not that bad, folks, but we are looking for some stronger sales next week. For soybeans, we're on week 22. Also, behind a pace, 50 million bushels. The USDA did not adjust their export sales figures. We are well behind pace here. We had a very bleak early on export sales,
right.
but we are expecting to see that export sales finish a little bit stronger as a result of this South American crop. We see that sales will move from that South American book onto the U.S. book, and we think that, or the USDA is expecting that will come in somewhere right around that earlier number. So
right, certainly. Well, the export front is certainly going to remain a really big factor here in the grain market moving forward, as now we have that January report behind us. Production domestically certainly is wrapped up. Export sales are going to be important. Follow us on Twitter. We tweet all throughout the trading day. If you're out there working in the fields and you want to get a market update, follow us on Twitter. @GrainTV is where you can find us. I think that wraps up our show here for Thursday morning. You have a great rest of your day.